So now I will read a poem called Kali the Mother. And it was written by Swami Vivekannada, name that many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with. It's one of the first people who brought classical Hindu thought into the West and came for the first World Parliament of Religions that was held in Chicago over a century ago. So this is his poem to Kali. It's called Kali the Mother. The stars are blotted out. The clouds are covering clouds. It is darkness, vibrant, sonant. In the roaring winds are the souls of 1,000,000 lunatics, just loose from the prison house, wrenching trees by their roots, sweeping all from their path. The sea has joined the fray and swirls up mountain waves to reach the pitchy sky. The flash of lurid light reveals on every side 1,000,000 shades of death, begrimed and black, scattering plagues and sorrows, dancing mad with joy. Come, O Mother, come. For terror is thy name. Death is in thy breath. And every shaking step destroys a world forever. Thou time, the old destroyer, come, O Mother, come. For who dares misery love and hug the form of death, dance in destruction's dance, to him the mother comes. So friends, this is the mother we invoke today. Her name is Kali. Kali comes from the Sanskrit root kal, and kal has two meanings. One is black or dark, and the other meaning is time. So one can think of her as dark time. And when I think of her as time, I think of her not as your linear tick-tock clock time, but as circular time. If she had a motto, it would be something like, anything that is born must die, and anything that dies must be reborn in some form, somehow, somewhere. Actually, not too different from what we say in modern physics. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, it can only change forms. And we also know that matter and energy are interconvertible. So it's her wisdom of the circular time. So, I thought the best way to invoke her in this circle, in this group, is to tell you a story. Tell you a story of how she was born. And as we tell the story, we will see how that applies to our lives today. So the story opens when heaven, the abode of the gods, has been taken over by the demons. The demons have staged a coup, and the gods have been driven out. So let's just take a moment here to think about gods and demons. So if we read in scripture, when we see ancient paintings, gods are described as these beautiful, luminous, magnificent beings. Their skin tone is often described as milky white. It's described as honey-like, or sheaves of wheat ripened in the sun. They are bejeweled. They wear beautiful clothing. They have these gorgeous weapons. You might call it weapons of mass destruction if you want. They are the ones who are in control, who are in charge, who run the show. And the demons, they're dark, black, sometimes half human, half animal, often described as having horns or tails or snouts, naked or almost naked. And their weapons are things like sticks and bows and arrows, maybe a scythe that you use to cut rice. Ring a bell? Psychologically, to me, we are speaking about ego and shadow. The part of us that we think is in control, that runs the show, that has all the equipment it needs to continue status quo. And we have the shadow, the things we say, not me. It's nothing to do with me. Doesn't exist. That's psychologically. And socially, I come from a colonized country, an ex-colonized country. I see this as colonization, as slavery, as taking away other people's land. So this is the battlefield, my friends. This is the battlefield in which we stand at the beginning of this story. Now, the gods want to get back heaven, of course. There's a big problem, though, because the king of the demons happens to be a very adept yogi. His name is Mahishasur, and Mahishasur literally is composed of two words, Mahish, which is buffalo, and Asur is demon. So he's a buffalo demon. He's a shapeshifter. He can sometimes be a buffalo, sometimes be a demon. He can change into other forms as well. But he has done this long penance, and he has prayed to Brahma, the creator, for many eons, and he has received a boon from Brahma. And the boon says, no god or man can kill him. So the gods are in a bind. What can they do? So they go to Brahma, the creator, and ask him to help. Brahma can't help because he is given the boon. So he goes to Vishnu, the preserver, and finally all of them go to Shiva. He's the yogi of the gods, so maybe he will have an answer. He listens to their story, he sits in meditation, and goes deep in his meditation. Comes out of the meditation with a solution. And he says, okay, I got this. The boon is no god or man can kill this demon, but a woman can. So we're going to create a goddess. All right? So all the gods get together, they project their energies into space, and from this collected energy of all of the reigning gods, a being emerges. Her name is Durga. Durga comes from the word Durga, which is a fortress. So she's invincible, she's impenetrable. And the gods give her their best clothing, their best jewelry. They give her their best weapons because she is going to be the representative in this war against the demons. And she's given as her mount a lion. Lion, leonine energy, the masculine in its full glory. So Durga, in some ways, is like many of us, like me. She's the daughter of patriarchy. She has the blessing of the fathers. She has the weapons of the fathers. And what the fathers can't do, she's being asked to do. So she rides this lion, rides into heaven, and in a voice that resounds the three worlds like a thundercloud, she says, come meet me in the battlefield. She's often described as 1,000 suns. Her glamour, her luminosity is of 1,000 suns, S-U-N-S, suns. So The demons initially laugh. Like, what, a woman? That's the best you can do? By the way, she has 10 arms, and on each arm she holds a weapon. Yeah, so she's not just us, a little bit more advanced. Okay, so the demons first laugh, but she won't leave, and the lion is roaring, and she is beating her battle drum. So the demons send out sort of their low-ranking warriors, thinking that, we don't need to work very hard. She kills them, no problem. Now the demons send out some better trained warriors, killed. And it goes on and on and on, and the gods are celebrating. They're like, okay, heaven's going to be back in our hands. We did a good job. Slap each other's back. We did well. Look, we trained her really well. And looks like they're going to win. But the demons, they have something that the gods didn't know about. They have a secret weapon. And now they send their secret weapon into the battlefield. It's a demon whose name is Rakta Bija. Rakta is blood, and Bija is seed. So his name is blood seed. And his secret weapon is this. He is just like any other demon, and Durga can easily attack him, cut him with her sword, her flaying knife. But every time a drop of his blood falls on the ground, 1,000 new Raktabijas are born. So actually, her prowess in battle becomes her problem, because the field is very soon swarming with Raktabijas. There are thousands upon thousands of them, and everything seems like the tide has turned, and they're not going to win the battle. So this is a moment of reckoning. Durga stops. She realizes that all the blessings as a daughter of patriarchy that she has received from the fathers, not sufficient. Her brows furrow in concentration. Her face reddens in anger and frustration. And from her brow pops out another goddess, her dark sister, Kali. Kali is everything that Durga is not. We have described Durga before. 10 arms, beautifully dressed, shining like 1,000 suns, all the weapons. Kali is black, dark. One of her names is Maharatri, the eternal night. She's naked. She is shriveled, old, wild hair, long pendulous breasts. And the worst of it all is that she has this long, lolling red tongue from where there's like dribbles of saliva dropping down. She is everything that Durga is not. She is Durga's shadow. And now she's been manifest because that's the only way that something can change. The battle resumes. Durga is animated again. And now Durga starts to slash the demon, and every time a drop of blood falls, before it can fall on the ground, Kali with her long tongue just laps it up. And she picks up Raktabijas 10 at a time, puts them in her maw, and laughs and cackles. And together, the Raktabijas are destroyed. Finally, Mahishasur comes, the king of the gods, and there's a beautiful battle. We're not going to get into that. The description is just extraordinary. Eventually, he is killed. Heaven is regained, and the conch shell is blown to mark the end of the war, beginning of peace, and a new order. So that's the story. And I want us to take a moment to really see what this story is actually telling us. Because on a superficial level, we could say this is a story of good over evil. And I think we'll be wrong if we stop there. Because there's a lot of lessons here that are really meant for our time today. First, while you can create solutions like Kali, who are really well trained, who have all the weapons, who have all the techniques and methodology that status quo can provide, it's not sufficient to win the war. What has to happen is the shadow needs to be faced, needs to be manifested, needs to be shown. The other thing that I find really, really interesting is Kali is really not in the battlefield. She's not in the picture until there's an impasse, until there is no other way for us to go forward in the story without invoking this being who completely changes the order of everything. And that is often the case. I mean, in AA, one often hears about hitting rock bottom. Rakta Bija is our rock bottom. Rakta Bija cannot be addressed with just a little bit more force, just a little bit more willpower. So maybe we can take a moment to think about all the places where we have Rakta Bija running rampant in our inner worlds, in our outer worlds. In our outer world, we can think about the pandemic, think about the wars, climate crisis, the phobias of all kinds, xenophobia, transphobia, Islamophobia. I mean, we can go on and on and on. And these are really racism, sexism, and these are really things where Rakta Bija has been put into the battlefield. It's like every time you try to cut something down, 10,000 other brethren come up. On a psychological level, how many of us feel tired, exhausted? We don't have it anymore in us to take that next step, to fight the next battle. We're constantly chasing comfort of some kind, some place where I can rest and say, okay, I'm okay. And we don't find it. We go into depression, we go into anxiety, social alienation, often followed by addiction. Again, Rakta Bija running rampant. And this is when our only solution, I believe, is to invoke this energy of Kali. This energy that is this ugly, dark, disgusting, unwelcome energy that says the old order is dead. It needs to be killed, it needs to be shredded into pieces so something new can arise. A death that is followed by a rebirth. But a rebirth cannot happen if we leave the current system on life support, whether internal or external. And that is her invitation to us. And the question is, are we ready? Are we ready to see that part of us that we have always said, not me, I don't have that. I'm not racist, I'm not sexist, I'm not fill in the blanks. Are we ready to face what in us lives that has been shoved? And Rakta Bija really, I mean, in some ways I think of him as that malignancy, because he is really like cancer, right? It's an uncontrolled dividing, and that happens when we push something down and down and down and down until it breaks open. It's like a festering wound that has finally broken open, and we have it all around us and inside us. So I'll leave you with this final thought about Kali. To really change, because we all want change, we all want that long arc towards justice. But for that to happen, we need to face our own shadows. We cannot be good people doing things for bad people or fixing bad people or bad conditions or bad situations. Are we ready? That's her call to us. Thank you.